love you guys, and I also want to wring your neck. So medically, one could declare him a psychopath.
That psycho, Lauren D. Laguna, does that all the time.
I want to create a place where people are like, oh, wow, Lauren is the place I could go to express my idea. That is difficult, where I might be shut down in other places. I want a free speech channel.
It is Lauren D. Laguna. I fucking knew it.
Hey, welcome to Lauren De Laguna, and I have a breaking news announcement that I need to make right now regarding my guest tonight, James Garrettson. So, for immediate release, James Garrettson announces candidacy for presidency of the United States. Washington, D.C., March 17th, 2023. James Garrettson, a businessman and entrepreneur, announced today that he will be running for president of the United States of America in the 2024 election. Mr. Garrettson, who gained notoriety for his involvement in the Joe Exotic case, believes that he is the best candidate to restore integrity and truth to the American political system. In his announcement, Mr. Garrettson spoke out against Joe Exotic, the former zookeeper and reality TV star who ran for president in 2016 while serving a prison sentence for murder for hire charges. Mr. Exotic's antics and lies, according to Mr. Garrettson, have damaged the credibility of the electoral system. If Joe Exotic, and this is a quote, can make a mockery of the electoral system and use it as a tool to gain more shameless publicity so he can panhandle for money, he begs so he can pay the bills for his lazy, able-bodied 25-year-old fake fiance, Seth Posey, who's been scamming him for money. How can the media and government agencies continue to allow someone like Joe Exotic to spread lies without anyone verifying anything that spews out of his mouth? He's been dying of every type of cancer you can imagine since 2012. And this is a quote from Mr. Garrettson himself. Mr. Garrettson's campaign will focus on transparency and accountability in government, as well as addressing issues such as income inequality and climate change. He believes that his experience as a successful businessman and his involvement in the Joe Exotic case make him uniquely qualified to lead the country. Another quote from Mr. Garrettson, I have seen firsthand the damage that can be done when people prioritize their own self-interest over truth. As president, I will work tirelessly to ensure that the American people can trust their government and that our country is moving in the right direction. Mr. Garrettson's candidacy has already generated significant interest and support, with many applauding his commitment to truth and honesty in politics. Please contact James Garrettson for President Media, Viral Media Group, website www.jamesgarrettson, that's JamesGarretson 2024.com, Instagram at JamesGarrettson1. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garrettson, for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for reading all that.
Yeah,
I'm doing great.
Announcing that you're running for president.
You know, I don't know how far I'll get, but I'm going to give it a try. Why not? You know, something has to change in politics, in my opinion.
Have you declared which party you're running for under?
As an independent. I'm kind of split in the middle. Yeah, I'm kind of split in the middle. You know, I don't like how anything's going these days, really. It's just, you turn the news on and it's just everybody bickering or indicting each other. It's just getting old. And as a business owner, I know how hard it is in America. It's hard to earn a living. You know, there's so many rules and regulations and things are changing monthly, even in the jet ski business, you know, that I'm in now.
Ask you to tell me about your business, like
I'm a you know, as you see on Tiger King, I rode the jet ski. So, I got a little bit of notoriety on the jet ski scene. Even though it was a meme and people were making fun of me, little fat guy on a jet ski, it still helped business. So, yeah, I'm in the jet ski business and currently relocating to a new location. And that's going to happen in the next couple months. But so that's pretty much what I do for a living. I've owned bars and nightclubs and things like of that nature. I've done a little bit of everything. I've struggled a lot. It's hard. I'm from a poor family. I grew up pretty poor. My mom was she took care of us all by herself. There was 4 of us, and we just kind of grew up poor in Dallas, Texas, and I'm just trying to make the best of myself. And then a few years ago, I've always had a love for exotic animals. So a few years ago, I got wrapped up in this whole Tiger King thing. And man, let me tell you, it was life-changing, but not in a good way.
So can I thought it was... let me ask you just for a second, and let me ask you. So pretend now I have seen Tiger King, but can you do me a favor and summarize Tiger King in and this is going to be one of the hardest things anyone will ever ask you to do, but can you summarize Tiger King in 3 minutes, the first season?
Yeah. So, it's really hard without the backstory, but basically it was a documentary. Well, it was like a docu-fantasy because there's a lot of stuff in there that was filtered and we were made to say things, and the director didn't want to make a documentary. He wanted to make basically a shit show out of it and make all of us kind of look like idiots. And so the director didn't have the documentary on mind. He wanted to make a shit show that would draw people's attention, and it did. It drew a lot of attention, but not in a good way. It's getting over that Tiger King thing is probably going to take me years because we still have a guy in jail fighting to get out, harassing the witnesses. And so basically Tiger King had a feud with the lady down in Florida. Her name is Carol Baskin. As you know,
Joe Exotic had a feud with Carol Baskins. Joe Exotic had a feud with Carol Baskins.
Yeah, okay. Carol Baskin has a lot of money. She's an animal rights activist. She has a lot of supporters on her side. So she basically choked Joe with lawsuits, took him to court, spent $1 million to collect $1 million, just basically ran him broke. So Joe was about to lose the zoo. Joe was losing everything. At that point, Joe didn't really own the zoo. He handed it over. His mom handed it over to a guy named Jeff Lowe back in 2015. So Joe was just running the zoo, whatever. So Carol wins a judgment for $1 million. She's going to do everything she can to collect the $1 million. Anybody that came in and helped the zoo or helped Joe, Carol attached to the lawsuits, such as John Finley, John Rinke. Carol was after everybody. And it wasn't about money. It was about putting him out of business so he didn't breed any more tiger cubs. So that's where this whole thing started. So,
and do you think that was because she cared about the tigers, because he was abusing tigers, or do you think this was to help her business by comparison?
Okay, me being in the exotic animal business for a lot of years before there was even sanctuaries, it's all a money grab. Organizations like PETA, GFAS, Big Cat Rescue, they want all of the money for themselves. They don't want us small zoo owners or small private owners. They want to pretty much control the whole market. So they'll do anything to shut people down, and they have a lot of money. And they've realized by bashing others, it's a good way for them to make a lot of money. Calling us the bad guys, basically, that's how they make money.
It gives them a point. It's people go to them oh wow, you're standing up to the bad guys.
Exactly. And she has a lot of drama on her own. her husband disappeared, and and there's a lot of backstory to the Carol Baskin thing. And I'm sure when Jack Ripper comes on here, he knows the Carol Baskin story inside and out, and he can shed a whole lot of light on that story. But as a Joe story, so Carol won the lawsuit. Carol was taken to the zoo, and Joe was like, what do I do? You can't afford lawyers. He was broke. He was hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney fees already. What can we do? Well, in Joe's opinion and how his mind works, he's like, well, let's kill her. And that's where the murder for hire, and that's how I got thrown in the whole pot. I didn't want to be the federal informant, but I was kind of thrown in there.
Do you want me to pull up that page that you sent us earlier?
You can. I mean, I can give you a little bit more of the backstory.
Okay, let's get into the backstory then.
Okay, so I was trading and buying a couple tigers from Joe, and I bought a lemur from Joe, and I didn't know during all this. I mean, I've known Joe for a period over 20 years. So
any ferrets?
Any what?
Ferrets?
No ferrets, no.
Okay.
No ferrets. This thing's gonna smell a little bad though, the ferrets.
Yeah.
So I was at the park. I didn't realize how serious Joe was on this murder for hire thing, and he was asking everybody. He asked an off-duty cop to kill Carol. He asked everybody at the park to kill Carol. I was there hanging out with him. I invested some money in his pizza restaurant. Didn't realize he was giving expired meat, making the pizzas with expired meat. I kind of got screwed on that. So the food truck would come in for the tigers. Joe and his staff would be looking for all the pepperonis they could find, the tomato sauce. So he was making this 100% free pizza. We were going to make a lot of money. I got screwed on that. Didn't see $1. And, there was already somebody at the park that was talking to the feds. Like they already had a clue that Joe was trying to hire somebody to kill Carol. There was a girl there. Her name was Ashley Webster. I think she called Carol and told Carol, hey, there's some people are trying to kill you. So I get a visit from a Fed, and the Fed was like, hey. And I knew Joe was doing some weird stuff with animals. There's another guy named Greg Woody. Excuse me. They were killing animals, skinning animals, and doing awful things to animals. I knew he was doing
that. Joe was doing that sort of stuff too?
Joe was selling them the animals to do it with. So, like, I knew some pictures surfaced of some animals that Joe basically said they went to a good home. I found them at a taxidermy shop in Louisiana, hung on a wall.
How can you tell it's an identical animal?
I mean, it's the timeline. We sent people in there to ask where he got him from. He got him from a guy named Greg Woody, and him and Joe would trade animals left and right. And I had the transfer forms from Joe to Woody and all this stuff too. So I can pretty much back up everything I say. I can back it up. So Joe was doing evil stuff. So the fishing game guy approached me one day and at my shop and basically said, hey, did Joe ever ask you to kill Carol? Yes. He's asked everybody. Well, and then they were like, well, you need to come to Team USA. He's doing this and this and this. And I was like, I kind of know he's doing it. So I sucked. The animal part of me, the animal lover part of me said, okay, I'll do it without thinking about the repercussions because I know how Joe is. He's real eccentric. He's vocal. He's a hardcore narcissist. He's not going to take any responsibility for anything he ever does. He always blames somebody else. So here we are. I introduced the undercover FBI agent to Joe. I said, hey, this is Mark. He's the guy. And then they just started talking, and that was that.
So how long were you friends with Joe before you introduced him to the agent?
I think I met Joe in like 2001 or 2002. But
did you ever consider him a friend?
I mean, not really, no, because I went 10 years without even talking to the guy. I mean, we weren't like we only got friendly during the whole investigation part of it. Like maybe a few months prior to the investigation. And then all hell was breaking loose because Carol kept coming after him. You know, it was always drama. You know, James, hey, can you pay the electric bill? It gets shut off at 5 o'clock. James, can you help us out with this? Joe is like the type of person, when you stop giving, he just discards you. So I just finally said no more. I didn't really appreciate the fact that I invested $25,000 in a pizza restaurant and didn't see any money because, you know, I'd like to make money on money that I put up, and that didn't happen. So then I got wrapped up to this Tiger King, Eric Good. I didn't know he was filming with Joe.
Did the producers pay you at all?
Pennies, like really pennies. Maybe $10,000. And then I had to take him to court. Well, I didn't go to court. My lawyer was about to file something. He sent him a demand. And then we did an out-of-court settlement for $30,000. But to have your life...
What was the lawsuit over? What were the causes of action?
Fraud, basically. I mean, what was happening is Eric Good was basically in Florida. Is a two-party consent state. He went into a nightclub with me, said, hey, I'm going to buy you and your guys drinks, and let's go have a good time. I didn't realize he had wired cameras and all this other shady stuff. Went into the strip bar, filmed us in a strip bar. He was taking my phone conversations and sending them to other people. He was getting the transcripts, sending them to the other director. They were playing us every which way you could play somebody. And they just wanted to make us look like total idiots. They were playing everybody against everybody. And I didn't realize I have to deal with Joe for the next 20 years because he's not going to shut up. He's going to remain vocal. That's why he ran for president. He's going to find ways to stay relevant. He won't take any responsibility. So Tiger King is basically a career ruiner because now every time I get on social media, James is this, James is that. And then as a lawyer posted his own videos of evidence that should have been sent to a court, he wanted to build his own social media following. So he posted all these illegal recordings all over YouTube. So it's a really a disaster.
Yeah. I'm sorry for all of your hardship. I can imagine how devastating it is.
I mean, it was funny during COVID, and I'm glad we entertained people, but the after effects, it just goes on. And Eric Good, the rich director, we have to sue him because, you know, it's not right what he did. And he totally lied. He never even told us this was going to Netflix. We had no idea. One day.
So how many people did you anticipate would see this versus how many people saw it?
Well, he told me he was making a little documentary and is going to show it in Europe. That's what he told me. And that's why I agreed. I was having financial problems.
Have you ever seen Borat?
Yes.
Movie?
Yes.
Yeah, he basically lied to everybody in that film is like acting as themselves, and the entire time he's, we're just filming a small documentary. We're just filming. He did the exact same thing.
We had no idea that this was going to go to Netflix, and then he made I hear about $15 million. But the problem with it is, you know, he was feeding us all this crap, and it led to nothing. It didn't lead for anything for me to do after Tiger King. I mean, it just led to being the laughing stock of America. I mean, of course we entertain people, but you know, it's ruined lives, and these directors are sitting there laughing while they're benefiting. And there needs to be a part 4 to tell the real truth of what's really going on in this show, and all these other characters that have latched on and are trying to ride, I call them fame whores. They're trying to ride the coattails of all those people that suffered. And we didn't have a fun time at all. There's nothing fun about being bashed online every day of the week. There's nothing fun about that.
Yeah, no, I understand. I get that. Like I understand trolling and I understand how unfun it can be when you have things that are halfway true twisted into a lie that makes it more difficult to refute because it's half true.
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand that and I have a lot of empathy for that. But I mean, it's so difficult because you also don't want to censor people from making art. So that's how I'm sure these people are getting away with it. Was this your first time ever dealing with like media and producers and like reporter and like Hollywood types?
This is the only time I've ever been in this world. I didn't realize how cutthroat it was. And then when I did my homework, when it was all over, I should have started Googling people's names, the editors, the directors. If I would have done that, I would have saved myself years of embarrassment. But when I did all the homework recently, because now I've got to find an attorney that'll take my case so I can sue Netflix and sue all these directors, I find that every editor in the Tiger King show and the directors, 100% animal rights motivated. Doug Abel, his wife, extremist, Eric Good, has his own turtle farm or sanctuary that he breeds and sells tortoises out in California. And he's AZA, American Zoological Association. They hate private owners because we make them look bad because we have a relationship with our animals, hands-on. AZA hates private owners. Eric Good runs a turtle place, buys and sells turtles to zoos all across the world. So he destroyed our industry, the big cat industry, and now he's working on a monkey project that's going to be similar to Tiger King. It's going to destroy private ownership. And he's destroying people with these films. And I'm not going to shut up until something is done and everybody is compensated like they should be, because we all lost years of our lives for some money I could have made being assistant manager at McDonald's. You know? So, here we are.
Yeah, no, I'm not an attorney, so like I don't know. I can't give you any legal advice or anything like that. I hope you find an attorney. I don't know. I don't know what you could do about. I don't know. I would talk to an attorney.
Yeah.
But can you tell me what the biggest lies were? Can you tell me like the 3 biggest lies that the editors of Tiger King made to appear to be true that wasn't true?
Well, really, what they did is it's supposed to be a documentary. They left out key factors that would have changed people's ideas of Joe and Carol. They left out a whole lot of stuff.
Such as, can you like list something?
Yeah, there was a Lacey drive that Joe handed one of the directors.
A what?
Joe called it a Lacey drive. It was a hard drive, kind of like this, okay? And it contained a lot of sexual encounters and things that Joe did, and animal killing and all kinds of stuff. Eric Good only took out the key parts to not make Joe look that bad, because if he would have mentioned there's some pedophilia talk, there's animal killing, and Eric Good took this drive and
Eric Good is the editor?
Eric Good is the director of Tiger King, one of them. Rebecca Chaiklin and Eric Good. Basically how they worked together. Rebecca handled all the Carol Baskin stuff. Eric handled all the Joe stuff. So they were the 2 directors. All right. So Eric told me that if that Lacey drive ever gets out, it's going to destroy Joe, because there's some raunchy stuff on there. Didn't go into details of what was on there, but he should have gave the viewers an idea, because it's supposed to be a documentary and it's supposed to be they're supposed to be based on facts. And
why do you think he withheld that juicy, why not release that juicy detail? Isn't that like...
Because Eric had a contract with Joe. Eric basically owned Joe. So if they would have bashed him, they wouldn't have been able to make any more Tiger Kings. It'd have been one and done. They wanted to drag this thing out, but they made a second one. But
do you think they ever held that over Joe's head? Like, we have this Lacey drive. If you don't do season 2, then we'll talk about it in season 2.
Well, Joe had no option because Joe signed basically a contract to Netflix, and they basically owned him. So, and it was like a sum of $50,000 and a small percentage. I've seen the contract. So they had money invested in Joe. So they didn't want it. They really didn't want to tell the truth about anything. They wanted to just make it fun and quirky. They should have just made a reality show out of it instead of documentary, because by far not a documentary. They should have just made a shit show out of it, and everybody would have made a few dollars, but they wanted to make this documentary, 64 million viewers in no time. And, there's not truth to it. Somebody needs to tell the real truth. And that's what I'm going to try to do while I do this campaign. And, I'm not a politician either. I'm going to try my best to do what I can do.
So you have the Lacey drive. That was something that was taken out of, that was negated from the documentary. But I mean, the documentary itself, or whatever, or reality TV show itself, was it accurate in general?
Well, not really. I mean, there was a lot of things. I mean,
like what else?
I've only watched it one time, Tiger King. I watched it one time and I was done. I couldn't really fathom. There was just a whole lot of stuff left out about Joe and all the fraud and stuff he was doing. And he bankrupted his parents, and because, the Carroll lawsuits, there was a lot of things that should have been in the show that weren't in the show. And it just, I didn't see too much factual other than jokes here and there. I really didn't see too much factual.
What was left out of the show other than the Lacey drive?
The animal killing, the animal sales, the other people. There were some other people like Mark Thompson that was on the show. Joe asked him to kill Carroll. That wasn't brought out. There was a
How was Joe going about asking people? Was he like, did he go to the people that he knew the longest? Because he knew you, 20 plus years, right? Yeah,
no. So I was out. I used to go there every couple weekends and shoot guns with his ex-husband, Travis, the one that shot himself. All right. So I brought a guy there one day. He had a tattoo on his, like one of these little teardrop tattoos. Joe had it through his head that teardrop tattoo means they killed somebody.
Yeah.
Okay? Alan Glover had the teardrop tattoo too. All right. So I brought this guy out, and this guy just had tattoos and whatever. And he's like, will this guy do it? Do what? Kill that bitch in Tampa. I'm like, I don't know. You have to talk to him. And then he made all those YouTube videos about shooting the mannequins and stuff. I mean, he asked everybody. And Mark Thompson, he was a cop at the time. That was Joe's security guard. He asked Mark Thompson to kill Carroll on the Tiger King, and while he was a police officer. So there was a lot of people asked. I would say 30, 40, 50 people maybe.
Is there any chance that this could have been in jest?
In what?
Like, is there any way he could have been joking?
I mean, I don't think
How
so.
did he approach you?
Well, I had to play a part. Well, when I was with the feds, when I signed up, I had to play a part. So I had to basically mention somebody that I thought could kill. Yeah, I could bring in some friends. I can make it happen for you, Joe. I'm the guy, all right? I'll make it happen, man. I know these people. Let me just see what I can do. So
your friend Ripperjack wants me to ask you how many tigers you think Joe killed. And do you know for a fact how many he killed? Do you have
I
the
mean,
exact number?
he's charged with killing 5. I know about a lot of bears and ligers and ligers that Joe killed. You know, to the exact number, I have no idea. I know what's been transferred to Greg Woody that just vanished into thin air. I don't know I don't know an exact number. There's no way for me to, I wasn't around Joe that much in the animal
If
dealings.
you had to guess, how many tigers do you think he killed?
Over the years, Joe had like 200 and some odd tigers, and they were down to like 68 or 70 or whatever. A lot of tigers disappeared and bears disappeared, and a lot of his beloved hybrids that he keeps boasting that he bred over 20 years, they were so valuable. He didn't want Jeff Lowe to have them when he left the zoo. So he was hauling them out in like 13, 14 at a time, and none of them have ever been seen again.
It's so sad.
And Joe was one of few people that had the ligers because he was breeding things with, just different species.
How do you breed tigers? How do you force two species to?
Well, they'll naturally breed. So you got a male lion and a female tiger. That's a liger. Okay. Because the males first. That's a liger. A male tiger and a female lion. That's a tigon. And then when you breed those, Joe was coming up with these ligers, and I don't know how he was doing it, but he was breeding those cubs back to others and just breeding the shit out of them because he was just selling them. Joe had a cub book.
Creating like deformities of nature in a way.
I mean, it's not right because they're from two different parts of the world. I mean, obviously there's problems. They're not the same species. And so he just kept inbreeding these animals thinking he was going to get a saber-toothed tiger. And that's what Joe always thought. He could breed all this stuff, keep breeding them and backbreeding them, and get a saber-toothed tiger. Joe knew that wasn't even true. But that was his reasoning of inbreeding, and not really just inbreeding, but just breeding so much. And
does it concern you running against a man with that sort of intellect for president? Because he's clearly
no, I mean, he's doing it for attention. It's different. And I had no idea that I wanted to even try that. I mean, I don't know. I might not even get 10 votes. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a politician. But I was like, since he can do it, I'm gonna try to do this. I don't really personally like politicians. I don't know. I like what they've done to our country. I'm totally against all this bickering and fighting and racial stuff. And I mean, every time you turn on the news, America is not America anymore. Remember the 90s when we didn't have social media, we didn't have TikTok. Life was wonderful. We went outside with our kids. Now our kids stay on TikTok all day. They don't want to go out in the sunlight. They want to just stay there, hibernate, and play video games. And I think the world has just gone to crap by letting all that happen. And then everybody has an opinion. I understand it's America, but don't be so hateful.
No, we don't want to be hateful. I agree. I would like a peaceful world too.
Yeah. So that's what I kind of want. And then I don't like the animal rights activists. It's no, if they can't own something, if I can't own something, they can't own something. It should be equal for everybody. Just because Carol Baskin claims she's an expert and she's rich, she has no more right to own a tiger than I do.
Well, I do have a question. So, but Joe's got out of hand because you would breed the pups, right? Because the pups were popular with tourists and to play with and cute for pictures. But then you wouldn't know what to do with the full-blown tiger, and they weren't really valuable for anything except for the hide. And so they were expensive to store and expensive to feed. So doesn't it become dangerous to just allow anyone to just breed tigers?
I don't agree with the breeding. I mean, I agree with responsible breeding. Maybe you keep the species alive. You know, maybe if you have a zoo, you breed every few years, every 5 years or 10 years or whatever. But the Cubs is a bad business model. I'm not an animal rights activist, so when I say this, don't think I'm crapping on the industry because I'm not. But think about the map. You have a cub. You can use it for photos from 4 to 16 weeks, or really 6 to 16 weeks. The tiger or the cub could live up to 22, 23, 24 years. It's a bad business model. $20,000.
What it costs to keep the tiger alive, because you have to feed it and store it and give it room to run and stuff.
I think a tiger costs to feed realistically, because I mean, I butchered a lot of cows, dead cows and things when I had animals. So a lot of times I could feed all my animals by picking up dead cows at the feedlots and stuff. And that's the best way they can eat. It's better than, you want to give them hair, and you want to give them, they need the fiber, they need a lot of stuff. That's the best way to feed them. I could feed a tiger $4,000 to $5,000 a year.
And you have tigers yourself?
I did. During the tiger.
Okay, so how old were they when you bought them? How many did you have, and what did you do with them when they were older?
I bought my first lion when I was 17 years old, out of the Dallas Morning Paper. And I did stupid stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. I was being ignorant. I should have studied. I didn't know. I lived in an apartment. I was a total dumbass back then. And so I've had animals. I mean, I'm 49 years old. I've had exotic animals for a long time. But in 2006, a lady in Tampa didn't agree that I should have animals traveling and doing fairs and things like that. So she put me on her hit list. So I was being attacked everywhere I went by her and PETA. And I lost the USDA license because Carol can make a few calls and put you in a bad position. I was a victim of hers at one time. So that's the kind of a backstory. I hate Carol Baskin.
It's always Carol Baskin who is causing stuff for making it difficult for the small guy.
Well, Carol, if she targets you, she will spend money in lawsuits or get her friends at PETA, and they'll start filing these lawsuits, and they just bankrupt you. They file motion after motion, and you can't keep up. And Discovery, you can't keep up with this. It's a way just to break you. I mean,
is she hemorrhaging or is she making money?
Oh, she makes money a lot. Her place takes in $3 to $5 million a year that comes into her mailbox.
But what are her legal fees?
Well, you got to think, if she takes in $4 or $5 million, she spent $1 million on Joe. She admits it. Howard Baskin and Tiger King admits they spent $1 million to get $1 million. And I just seen a wage garnishment thing today that Joe still owes her. She took his property, sold it. He still owes her $815,000. She's still trying to collect while he's in prison.
So that means while he's working a prison job. And isn't he dying?
No. I mean, Joe's been dying since 2012. So he's had every kind of cancer: ear cancer, nose cancer, throat cancer, anal cancer, breast cancer. I mean, he's had every kind of cancer. Joe plays the sympathy card. You know, one day he's begging Biden for a pardon. The next day he's bashing Biden. It's just out of control. Yeah, Carol was worth. I thought she'd be worth a lot more than that, but
I wonder if she's gaining money or if because I knew that she was started off wealthy. So I was wondering, is she losing money? Is she worth less after Tiger King?
Oh no, she's the only one. Well, Joe made a bunch of money too. Carol, let me tell you how much money Carol made.
But then did Carol get Joe's money that he made?
No. I'll get into that real quick. This is real easy. So Carol, with Tiger King, half the world, well, 64 million people know one thing. We all agreed on one thing during COVID. Carol killed her husband. That's one thing everybody agreed with in the world. So Carol used that to her favor. Carol can't be the victim like us. I made maybe 40, 50 grand. That's nothing for what I have to deal with. I got to deal with Joe and all his people. And then when he gets new people, oh, well, James is a bad guy. James set me up. James did this. Jeff Lowe did this, But Carol was on Dancing with the Stars. She made her own show. She made $1 million in cameos in like a short period of time. $300 for a 1 to 2 minute video. $300.
Those things should be. Who's that guy? Chris Hanson. The guy who does like the pedo catching stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He does cameos for people where he pretends to catch people, and it's really nasty. I think those things are nasty. But anyway, those things are terrible.
She made that. Now she has an agent. She's required $20,000 to $30,000 for a speaking engagement. And you got to think, this is how sick the world is. This lady is a star, and it's all due because people suspect she killed her husband. That's how sick our world is. And Dancing with the Stars. And then they were making jokes about, you actually killed it. The judge said, you actually killed it. Now, you got to think, Don Lewis has family. They're very sensitive. Everybody loves their father. She was involved somehow, and Ripper can show you that. But she's making these jokes and cutting these jokes and laughing about it when somebody lost their father. I think it's very disgusting.
Right. Yes, I agree. And she profited from it.
I consider it kind of like blood money. That's how
didn't she kill him just so that she could not lose the inheritance, right? Because they had a prenuptial agreement. Is that correct?
He was about to divorce her.
Right.
He was about to file for divorce.
If he died or disappeared, then she would inherit his.
And he was about to divorce her. She would have lost Big Cat Rescue. She would have lost all her animals because he wanted to go to Costa Rica, take the animals to Costa Rica. And then he just dies, or he just disappears one day. And there's a lot of things that she did, like when she redid the will, it said in case of a disappearance in the will. And then every lawyer in the country says, I've never seen somebody in case of a disappearance. And everybody was flabbergasted about that. And there's a lot of suspicion around her, but there's a whole lot of corruption and forgery and all kinds of stuff.
We're going to be having a later stream with Jack Ripper Media on that as soon as he is clear with legal. But I'm very excited to be digging into all of the Carol Baskin stuff and all the forgery. But I want to know what it was like for you and Joe. So you had known Joe for 20 years. He then asked you to kill Carol, and then the FBI reached out to you, or did the FBI already reach out to you? Yeah, and then in front of the FBI agent, he mentioned
he had already asked me, somebody take care of that bitch down in Tampa? That's how he would do it. And and then I would play around with him. Yeah, Joe, I know somebody. And I would be like, yeah, I know somebody. And then the feds got involved. And then
did you wear a wire at any point?
I did. Yeah, I wore a wire for a few years.
For a few years? How would that work? So did you have your own wire and you would just put it on, or did you have to go to the police station and get hooked up?
I had a little recording device and a wire that went through my shirt.
And this was all approved by the FBI or police? Like, you weren't doing this just on your own? Because what state was it in?
No, they would communicate with me by text, or if they thought I was in danger. One time they thought it was going to happen, and they were sitting outside the zoo watching everything on like a tablet. the FBI sent when we sent the hitman in when I took Mark Williams, that's what he went by. He rode my truck, but the FBI was behind us and they were watching all on a tablet. And while I was in the meeting, the FBI would text me, or the Fish and Wildlife would text me, hey, do this or whatever. I just basically made the introduction and Joe did all the talking. I didn't have to, I just basically stepped out. Once I introduced the hitman, he was all tatted up and stuff. He looked like a hitman. Once I introduced the hitman, I just kind of stood to the side and let them discuss their thing. And then somehow after that, Joe didn't want to use that hitman, so he found Alan Glover because he thought he could probably get a cheaper deal. And Alan Glover had the teardrop tattoo. And yeah, he always thought the teardrop tattoo means they whacked somebody. And I think it means like they lost somebody or whatever. I don't know. So he had this plan with Alan Glover, and then I had to participate in that. I had to recommend him a place to get a fake ID and all this other stuff. And when we sent you the John Finley transcripts, John Finley knew what was going on too. So he played a part in it. But I want to say this too. If John Finley didn't cooperate with the feds, Joe would not be in jail because John Finley put the money together to make the charge stick.
John Finley is involved how again? Who is John Finley again?
John Finley is one of Joe's ex-husbands that was with him for like 14 years.
Oh, did we bring up that script that you sent us at that page that you earmarked for us?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, could you do that, Henry? And then I'll go ahead and read that. Okay, Mr. Finley, I now want to direct your attention to November 2017. Were you working at the bar at the time? November 2017, yes, I was. Okay, and do you know an individual named Alan Glover? Yes, I do. How do you know Mr. Glover? We worked together at the animal park, so you overlapped with him at the park. Yes. Now, did you at any point in time take Mr. Glover down to Dallas? Yes, I did. Do you recall approximately when the trip happened? October, November of 2017. All right. Who asked you to take Mr. Glover to Dallas? Mr. Trivogel?
That's Joe. That's one of his many names.
Okay.
That's his actually real name, not his married name.
And what vehicle did you use? 2014 Dodge Ram. What was the vehicle? Sorry, was that your vehicle or was that the park vehicle? Park vehicle. Okay. Did Mr. Passage pay you to take Mr. Glover to Dallas? Not that I can remember. All right. Do you remember if he covered your expenses? He covered the gas. Yes. All right. Did you pick Mr. Glover up at the park? Yes. When you picked Mr. Glover up, did you know why you were taking him to Dallas? At that point in time, no. All right. Did you eventually learn why you were taking Mr. Glover to Dallas? Yes, I did. And who explained to you why you were taking Mr. Glover to Dallas? Joe Exotic. And what did Joe Exotic tell you? He called me and he was hesitant of what to tell me. And then he told me I was taking Alan down there to get a fake ID so he could take care of Carol. And at that time, were you aware of who Carol was? Yes, I was. All right. Did you take Mr. Glover to Dallas? Yes, I did. And when you guys get to Dallas, did you initially locate the correct business? Yes. Okay, what kind of business was it? Do I need to keep going?
No, I just basically wanted to show everybody that other people were involved. So basically, me and Jeff Lowe get blamed for this conspiracy, and many people were in this whole thing, and Joe wouldn't even been prosecuted if he didn't show where the money came from, because with no payment to the hitman, there's no charge. So Finley put all that together, and I think why Finley's being so quiet, there's a lot of other allegations, sexual misconducts that Finley was probably around and witnessed. That's why he's kept his mouth shut. But Joe
Are
won't
you
say.
alleging that Joe Exotic engaged in like sexual misconduct, potentially with like minors or with animals, or and that he saw it?
I know there's a current investigation. I know one person that was pretty much with Joe when he was underage. And there's a lawyer right now that's conducting an investigation looking for more people. He's going to want more people to come forward. And I confirmed to a federal agent that there was some videos of a goat involved. And that's all I'm going to say. It was really disgusting. And so that's why they got John Finley to flip so much, is because the agents basically said, you look a little different today, because in one of the clips, he had pigtails. And the agent told me that himself, that I told John Finley that, you look awful different without the pigtails. So there was some weird stuff going on. I don't want to get into all that because it's gross. I don't even like thinking about something to do with animals or children, because I have children or younger people. But there's a lot of allegations and a lot of things that are probably going to come to light pretty soon.
And okay, so where has Mr. Finley been since
he's been off social media. I've tried to reach out to him to get him to come clean about Joe, because Joe's in there continuously bashing us. We were all going to help Joe. We all felt sorry for Joe about he got 20 years. And then I started digging, and then more allegations came to play. And his attorney kind of just crapped on all the witnesses. He went and made his YouTube channel, put all our private conversations and stuff on this channel to try to boost his own, because he wants to be a star too. And he basically ruined his case, because now he has a motion for new trial that's waiting to be heard from the judge. But the thing about it is, all those affidavits are worthless because they have to be corroborated by witnesses, and none of us are going to cooperate and help Joe by the hell he's put us through over these past years. No way. Every day he has a social media group that's ran by Tammy Springer, Amy Filati, JT Barnett, and these people just blast us all day long. And, they say, well, everything comes from Joe. Like, Joe emails. I mean, Joe's in prison like he's a mafia member. Like, he has more control in prison than he seems like when he was out. Like, he's emailing all day. He's calling all day. He has burner phones in there where he can make calls certain times of the day. And it's not even like he's in prison. It's like he's out here just screwing with us all day.
Do you think that he is going to get a pardon from a president one day, just because of like the social media hellscape that we live in?
I don't think so at all, because when you start animal charges, people are more compassionate about animals than people, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
and when you mention shooting 5 tigers, that's it. Game over. Yeah. And when Joe was tried, the first thing they brought up were the dead tigers and put them on the screens. So the murder for hire they already pretty much had this guy convicted, even though there was a lot of evidence. And you got to think, all the hitmen were on tapes. Tapes don't lie. Video doesn't lie. So Joe's claiming innocent, but Joe, that's your voice on all those tapes. Planning a murder. That's your voice, Joe. So there's no way he can say, I'm innocent, and he's claiming he's a victim, and he's gay, and, he's just playing the pity party.
Wait, do you not think he's gay?
With the what?
Do you not think he's gay?
No, he's gay, but he's using the gay as the reason they put him in jail. Mm-hmm. He's vocal. He's gay. Oh, he was making anti-Trump videos on YouTube before the Tiger King, like calling them names. And it's pretty crazy.
So What do you know how long Joe's sentence is for?
I think his release date is 2037.
Oh, that's a really long time. So you're not
Yeah.
like concerned with him being released anytime soon.
No, I mean, I was feeling a little bit sorry because you don't want to see anybody in jail. But then
Right.
as I started digging and stuff, and I'm like, man, you just need to rot in there. I had my whole demeanor's changed. And this attorney you hired was just trying to seek fame. That's all he wanted was fame. He used to text us stuff about Joe's case. He would text us stuff about other cases. He would text
Sorry,
Jeff Lowe.
who's this attorney?
He's an attorney out of Jacksonville. That's
And
Joe's attorney.
he wants to help you or something in a case against Joe?
He's Joe's attorney, but he's not really worried about Joe. He's worried about fame. And it's all about attention. And, he tells everybody, well, he did until Joe started making himself look even dumber by some of the posts he puts out. But the attorney was like, I'm the Tiger King lawyer. I'm the Tiger King lawyer. And he wore that out. And then he wanted to hang out with us. He hung out with Jeff Lowe, another witness, and he wanted to take me to a concert. I'm like, do you realize I'm a government witness? And he was doing some things that were just out there. And then he's texting me. He's asking me if he could go in the jet ski business with me. And he was riding jet skis with me down in the Keys. And I'm just like, the defense attorney riding jet skis with me because he wants to be on TV. Then he's asking me through text message, man, I hope they show our jet ski scene. I hope they show our jet ski scene. He wanted to be a star so bad. He even set up his own cameo on social media, and he only got like 4 or 5 paid people, but, he probably paid himself. But so he was on Cameo, and he just wants to be famous. And it's not about that. You don't try it to the public. You got to try it in court. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but if I was Joe's lawyer, I'd be like, dude, shut up. Quit talking about Carol Baskin. Don't even mention her. If I'm trying to get you out of jail, shut your mouth. She's still a victim.
Does Joe realize at this point that he's a crap attorney?
No, because Phillips, when he started this, Phillips told him he'd be out by Christmas 2021. He told me that, told Joe that. He's like, I'm going to have him out by Christmas. I'll have him home by Christmas. And he told all of us that. I mean, I have the text message, He's like, he's told everybody he'll be out by Christmas. And he had a great attorney.
Send us the text. You can definitely send us the text if you want. We'll put it on screen.
Yeah, he had a great attorney. And, he fired him because this other attorney said, well, I can have you out faster. Knowing he's a personal injury lawyer and he's not a criminal lawyer. This is a high profile case. You can't. And then he's pissing off the judge and calling promotion.
Sorry. This fame hungry attorney is a personal injury attorney.
Yes, he didn't do criminal. He just did personal injury. And, he's probably great at chasing ambulances, but you're talking about animal charges. You're talking about a lot of stuff. So my opinion is he will withdraw soon. The money's out. Joe already made all the money. He's already spent it all because Joe supports his new boyfriend. And it's just his lifestyle screwed up, but he probably makes $600,000 or $700,000. And now he has people begging for commissary money. Hey, can we raise $50 overnight so Joe can get some honey buns, or Joe needs work boots or whatever, while he's supporting a guy in Fort Smith, Arkansas that he's never even met. He's never even laid eyes on him.
Does Carol Baskins get a portion of his commissary? And you also said earlier that Joe Exotic made a ton of money off of Tiger King. Did Carol Baskins get that money, or
no?
Did some of that go to commissary, or what?
Carol started snooping around because we're all trying to defend ourselves when they make accusations. So we'll put out facts. But Carol realized that there was some money. So last month she filed sent a garnishment letter, and now all the money's gone. But I'm sure she's going to have her attorneys take everybody to court. Like, the attorney in Jacksonville. He's going to have to show where all this money went, and there was some, there was a Tiger King coin. They basically pulled the rug out of this Tiger King coin. They withdrew $250,000, and everybody lost all this money.
It's a Bitcoin type thing.
Yeah, so it's called Tiger King coin, and so this stuff, he pulled out 250 grand, and the coin went down, and I'm not going to even say his name, but the attorney in Jacksonville got 250 grand, and then he got a bunch of other payments from Joe. So he made a lot of money off of Joe, and he's really won nothing but a name change, changing his name back to Maldonado from Passage. That's the only motion he's ever won. So in my opinion, he's screwed. He should have got good counsel, and this guy should be disbarred, in my opinion. And it's crazy. People don't even, when I tell people, they don't even believe this story just keeps going on and on. Yeah. And it's crazy.
That is quite crazy that an attorney would take on a case that is so over their head. And is this attorney just working on his own, or does he have a firm behind him?
Okay, there's another attorney he has in his office. I don't know what she does, but
attorneys.
Well, there's two, and then there's an appellate attorney that some Molly lady in Georgia, and I don't think she's that great either. But they really won nothing. They made all the witnesses mad to where they won't help. So how are you're claiming you got all these affidavits, but that has to be corroborated in court. I mean, I'm not going to have pretty things to say if I go to court again. So we'll probably see over the next little while if that motion's denied or if there's a court hearing or whatever the case may be. I think he'll just drop off and withdraw.
Did you previously write an affidavit?
We were going to help Joe at one time because there was some things that we didn't think that were right. I thought the hitman should have went. A couple of Joe's managers should have went because he did a lot more crimes with Joe. John Finley should have been jailed. I felt bad because everybody else got a pass and Joe took it all. So I was going to help Joe, but then his attorney turned on everybody. So he started making these tiger tales on YouTube and just, he's did a lot of bad stuff to a lot of it.
There's this attorney is on YouTube discussing an open case.
Yeah, he put all the evidence there because what he tries to do is he tries it in the court of public.
Can you look this up? What is the YouTube channel called?
It's Phillips and Hunt.
Phillips and Hunt.
Yeah, but he put everything on YouTube. There's a conversation that pops up between me and Eric Good, the Tiger King director. Eric Good and Rebecca Chaikin, the directors, they didn't know how bad this guy was. So they were sending all of our conversations and texts of whatever. Like if I was talking to Eric Good would send that to the attorneys. So I was in Florida, I thought pretty much most of the time it was being filmed. And yeah, that's it. And if you screw down, you see Tiger Tails. And
fine. Yeah, look for Tiger Tails.
Yes, scroll on down. You'll see it. You'll see a bunch of them. Or you could just type in my name and the videos will pop up. But yeah, see these like this one right here. You just passed them.
Go down.
Yeah, right. Go up a little bit more. Or down. Yeah, I just saw it. It's where the two square screens are right here. Right there. Like with Joe, and there's more down. I mean, that's probably one of him talking to Joe, but he has a series of these videos that, yeah, they're all on the right. Jeff Lowe's conversation. Yeah, see, and he put all the recordings on Tiger Tales.
Like attorney-client privilege conversations he uploaded onto YouTube.
Yeah.
He's not worried about anything.
If you trust Brittany, I don't know. If you want to do it on your own.
And then on this call, he called Joe on a burner phone, the attorney, because this phone wasn't on the jailhouse system. So the attorney called his client on a contraband phone, and you just won't believe it when you start looking at it. Like Jeff Lowe, he went to an office party with John Phillips. They had an office party. John Phillips' staff offered him cocaine. It's in a bar complaint. The bar withdrew it because they didn't want to look at the evidence. So it's a total. If you look into it, you're just going to be like, oh my God, these people aren't crazy after all.
That's insane.
Oh, and Jeff Lowe was actually his client because he was going to help Jeff Lowe with the matter he had. Tim Stark was going to help do something. John Phillips said he's going to represent Tim Stark. He has an email. I seen the email that basically says, "Oh, I'll get those motions drawn up for you as long as you give me the evidence to help me in the Joe case." So
that's how I feel. This is how I feel right now.
There's no ethics at all, and I was trying to find attorneys that'll sue them, do this and that,
right.
Because all that.
I know a Florida attorney. I know several Florida attorneys. That is crazy. That is the worst thing I think I may have ever seen.
When you have the Tiger King directors ambushing us, sending our private phone conversations, transcripts to the other director to ask me questions, they were setting me up for questions, and then they were sending everything to John Phillips or to that Jacksonville attorney. And it was just, they broke every communication law there is, but he thinks because he's an attorney, he can walk through all the laws. And he doesn't realize Florida does not play.
No, it does not. That is amazing.
The directors played a big part of this. And I try to reach out to Netflix. They won't even return our calls or our messages because we want the truth out. And we think there should be an ending to this. So all of us can put it all behind us, because dealing with the drama, like I didn't even have gray before Tiger King. And now I'm getting grayed out because it's just every day I wake up, oh, do you see what he said about you? Do you see what he says about you? Or one of my business clients, they're like, did you see what that guy put on Tiger Tales about you? You know,
no
it's
way.
just, it's
how much of the Tiger Tail stuff is just defamatory as well? Because it's just Joe Exotic's ramblings to his own attorney, right? Trying to defend himself. So I would imagine
a lot is defamatory, a lot. And, you know, it's
so
just
he's opening his own client up for liability.
Yeah, and he told me about Joe. I mean, he would text me when Joe's in the shoe today. He got caught with another phone. And then he would tell me stuff about his case. You know, we're trying to get Judge Polk thrown out of there.
Did you ever sign a disclosure agreement? Like, did Joe Exotic ever sign an agreement with his attorney to allow his attorney to disclose everything the way he is?
I have no idea what kind of arrangement they made, but you know, I think Joe has a shot at getting rid of this attorney. And you got to think, the last attorney was pro bono. This guy's got a lot of money, has done nothing for Joe. And the last attorney was fired because this attorney came forward and said, hey, I can have you out by Christmas. And, you know, and here we are 2 years later and nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you look into it, you're just going to be like, "Oh my God!" You
know, okay, I'm a bit confused because like you feel bad that Joe is the only one who took the heat, but simultaneously you wouldn't help Joe now if he were trying to appeal his case?
No, because here's the deal. The damage that these guys are doing, Phillips, Joe, with the ramblings on social media, you got to think that stuff is imaged. It's not going away. It's there. People screenshot it. It's there. There's a lot of damage there. And Joe's people, this Tammy Springer, she's Joe's power of attorney. She doesn't know me. She doesn't know the case. She wasn't there. She's like, Joe's innocent. I was like, there's tapes. Tapes don't lie. She constantly writes people. Everybody that has a blue check mark on Instagram, they're messaging them. Support him for president. If you go to Joe's website, Joe Exotic 2024.
JoeExotic2024.com.
Yeah, and you go to the right corner and hit endorsements. Joe's claiming every one of these social media influencers are supporting him for president.
Oh, let's see. I want to see this list.
And I went through the list, and they were like, huh? What are you talking about?
Are you serious?
Yeah, look at the list. There's no way. I mean, they're...
Okay, let's do this. So you go to the right. Okay, you see the top.
Yeah,
you see the top, Henry, next to bio. No, to the left. To the left. In the middle. Yeah, endorsements.
Endorsements. Now,
yeah.
Well, you got Seth Posey. That's his boy toy that he's never met in Fort Smith, Arkansas, that won't claim he's with Joe. He won't put anything. Nobody's ever been able to talk to him. And then you got all these people that, I mean, Jesse Meester probably is the only person supporting Joe because he had a little podcast he was doing on Sunday, Free Joe, whatever. But you go down the list, there's tons of people. There's no proof that any of these people are supporting Joe. And he's claiming all these people are endorsing him for president. Like, these people have said, Joe, I'm supporting you for president. He had, the other day, he posted the dark-haired Republican that's real outspoken.
There's a lot of us, okay.
Boebert.
Lauren Boebert.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Lauren.
He thought she was going to support him. Joe had on Instagram that,
nice.
Oh, will you support me for president? She said, no, I'm not endorsing anybody at this time. But nobody's going to endorse him because they look at him as he's the Tiger King character. I mean, it was all memes. It's a joke. It's not serious. I mean, it is serious from the stuff he did, but the show was just a joke. Like, how are you going to debate? How are you going to do the campaign trail from prison? It's all publicity. And
it does make it a little bit difficult to do the campaign trail from prison, but with technology these days, anything's possible.
I don't see it happening, but who knows? We live in a weird world, but there's so much that's gone on in this thing, and there's got to be some closure somewhere. That's what I'm seeking, closure, because I don't mind talking about it, but the thing is, I just get tired of social media, and everybody thinks that I'm the only one that put Joe in jail. They don't mention Finley. Joe won't mention John Finley because Finley has deep, dark secrets.
Yeah, I understand. I understand how painful this feels and how you feel the need for closure. What do you think will give you that sense of closure? And do you think it will be possible for you to just kind of ignore the people who continue to think of you as the Tiger King guy? And do you think you could just move on and do your own new thing?
Okay, I don't mind them. I don't mind like the fans that we have. And I do have some people that want me to send them things and stuff. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support. But I don't mind being the jet ski guy or the meme guy or whatever. I don't mind it at all. But what I don't like is people to categorize me as something that I'm not. I'm not a rat. Yes, I informed, but when there's a couple things you can't do around me, mess with animals and mess with kids. Not happening. I don't care what they call me when it comes to that stuff. But the nonstop harassment from Joe's people that are around him, it's going to stop. I mean, it's either going to stop. I'm probably going to sue a couple people to make a statement, because these people that are perpetrating his lies are just as guilty as Joe, in my opinion, because they're using their hands to put all this defamatory stuff on the internet. So I might have to go after a whole lot of people, and I'm going to go after Netflix. I'm going to go after Eric Good. It's going to happen. I just got to find the right attorney to do that.
What cause of action are you going to use to go after Netflix?
I think it's fraud. I mean, deceptive business practices, illegal wiretapping.
Were you not aware they were filming at times?
A lot of times I wasn't. When I was in my store, he came in with hidden cameras. A lot of the things on the Tiger King series, he did it while he was like just joking with me. The strip bar scene. And he was shady. I went to court. Well, I didn't go to court, but I was about to file a claim. And they were like, well, Tiger King 2, we're not going to do all that crazy stuff. We're going to put you in a better light. And then they still shit on me while they paid me that little settlement, $30,000, but that's nothing. But, it's 4 to 5 years of damages. This stuff still airs. People are still going to watch it as long as it's on the Netflix platform. There's a lot of people that haven't seen it. What if they do see it? That's more people I have to deal with.
Release for Netflix, and how extensive was it?
It was a one-party release. It was, a one-page release. Very common in the entertainment industry, but there's a lot of stuff that, they've got to follow the law too. You can be the director or whatever. There's still laws that apply. We still have a right to privacy. Our calls shouldn't be recorded. We shouldn't be baited. And they were baiting us. They were saying, well, Jeff Lowe said this about you. And then blah, blah. They would play everybody. And they would put us in, like they put the hitman in the bathtub. They were making fun of people. And they were doing a lot of shady stuff in the background. And the Tiger King director promised me for the last shoot, he was going to pay for the location and stuff. Last time I saw him, he's like, "Oh man, I'll get you next time. We're gonna do this monkey project together." He just buzzes out, doesn't pay me, won't respond to texts, won't respond at all, and whatever, But he's running a turtle, yeah.
Don't you think a lot of I don't know I like to follow reality TV stars on Instagram and whatnot. Especially years after the camera stopped rolling. And I like to listen to them talk about what it was like in retrospect. Don't you think that all reality TV shows kind of manipulate and twist and lie and do that sort of deceptive practice?
Yeah, so I've met some reality people through this whole Tiger King thing, because I guess you could call me a celebrity back then. Now it's over with, whatever. Now I just get the hate. But I met a lot of people. I was a jet ski guy. It was a fun meme. There was a lot of memes out. I was on Barstool and stuff, so I got recognized a lot. So I talked to other reality people, and they were like, pretty much everything's scripted. But the thing is, this isn't a reality show. This is a documentary that's supposed to be fact-checked by everything. And they had a right as documentarians, because Rebecca Chaiklin's made a lot of documentaries. This isn't her first rodeo. They had an obligation to tell the truth. Even if they had some stuff on Carol that they were afraid that if they put it out there, Carol was going to sue them. That's what they claim. I think since Carol was on the same side of the fence as Good on the animal rights side of it, I think they worked a backdoor deal. I can't prove it, but I'm going to put it out there because Carol is the only one that benefited out of this. I mean, Joe might have got some money, but what's it going to do for him? They've already taken all his money. He's broke now. I didn't get any money. Jeff Lowe didn't get any money. I mean, this did nothing for us. So, in Netflix, they sold a lot of subscriptions during COVID because, I mean, they were bragging about how good the show was doing, but they owe us an ending to this. They owe it to us. And I think that's what they got to do. Or we're going to find another platform. Somebody's going to listen to us one of these days. We're going to speak out until somebody does listen to us.
I'm trying to listen, obviously, like, not the biggest platform, but what do you want, like a final finale episode, with you all there so you could all?
Well, I just want the facts. I mean, like John Finley, he skated out of this thing into the sunset. All right. While I still have this guy in prison and all of his people around him. And you got to think, when these people leave Joe, like one power attorney's already left him. When these people leave him, he'll find some other suckers, and then it starts all over. So there's got to be closure. Either Joe has to get off his phones in prison. Somebody has to protect us as witnesses because the government's not protecting us. They could care less. Yeah. As long as Joe's in there, they could care less. I mean, obviously they wanted to come around and get some of these hard drives that I wanted. You know, the FBI's already reached out to me, and some of the hard drives were a little damaged, so I had to send them to data recovery places, and that was a fortune there, just getting the data recovered. So I have some things. I'm not sure what I have or the extent of what I have, but if it's bad, I'm going to air it so we can show he's not Mr. Wonderful like he's claiming to be.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know if it makes sense. It's just how my way of thinking. It's just closure. You know.
I understand what you want. I understand that you want closure. It's hard because a lot of it is like you wanting bureaucracy to end in a specific result. And that just so rarely happens. What are your... So when I told people that I was interviewing you, people knew you for other things other than Tiger King. Someone knew you for something called Sausage Castle.
Yeah, Sausage Castle, yeah.
What's that? And so, like, you've done other things, and you're gonna go on to bigger. What is Sausage Castle?
Okay, so the Sausage Castle is somebody that I used to do business with. Basically, their son worked at the Sausage Castle. I never heard of it. Never heard of it at all. So through Tiger King, they introduced me to Mike Busey. I've seen Mike Busey a couple times at some strip bars that he was doing like events at. Never met the guy. So I went out there and hung out for a Halloween party. And it was interesting. It was a cool place, you know, whatever. And so I was telling Rebecca Chaiklin about the Sausage Castle, and she wanted to see it. So then we ended up going back out there and filming. So a lot of Tiger King 2 was filmed at the Sausage Castle. When I looked like I was at a strip bar one day, it was actually in the living room of the Sausage Castle.
Oh, gosh.
So he has all these different themed rooms. It's a really cool place. Mike Busey's a really nice guy. He's the nephew of Gary Busey, the actor.
Okay.
He looks just like him. You know, they have the same jawline and stuff. And so I went out there to a Halloween party and, you know, did some cool things, but, you know, it didn't lead to anything to advance my career or nothing like that. You know, it was a cool place, cool experience.
So then what's on the horizons for you then?
Well, I want to get the truth out there in either a little docuseries or something to put it into Tiger King because, you know, if he gets more vocal, like if he would just leave us out of his mouth and do it the legal way and fight, I respect that. I wouldn't want to be in jail either. I respect that. But the nonstop bashing and all these people that are posting this stuff that have no skin in the game or no skin in the fight, that is where it gets irritating.
What would happen if you, like, how many people is it talking about it?
Well, I mean, you just get the random messages. You get the random hate messages on Instagram. Oh, you fat, fucking rat, you ought to die, or your family ought to die for doing what you did to Joe. You don't know the story, dude. You only know what he's telling you. You haven't read the court transcripts. You haven't listened to the tapes. Listen, I know firsthand because I was there through it all. These other people, like Tammy Springer, she wants to go on podcasts and stuff because she's Joe's power of attorney, and on her page, it's like this. It's this big deal. You would think she's vice president of the country because she's Joe's power of attorney. She really has no relevance in this, but they're steadily messaging influencers and telling them, they were getting the Tates involved. Andrew Tate made a joke about, I'm going to get the Tiger King out of jail. Joe thinks that's his best friend now, and he still supports him while Andrew Tate's in jail. Andrew Tate offered to run as Joe's vice president. Tristan Tate went online and started bashing us and basically put this rant out. Well, just some idiots there recording them. Joe was just joking. He doesn't know the whole case, but you know what the following those guys have. And if they come back out and get back on this Joe's bandwagon, this stuff will never stop. So
yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah,
I hate slander and I hate the libel, and it's super annoying. And especially when you have big names like Andrew Tate, and especially when they're trying to reach out to all of these influencers. And then it's especially hard to sue him because it's not even like a criminal crime. It's just like a civil issue, right? So you would have to hire an attorney to sue him.
Yeah, but then what do I get?
And then what do you get? He's completely broken in prison. So you're going to sue him for what? Like
to be in line with Carol. That's all I do. She would get the first half of it, if he ever did get any more money or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, I looked into that. I'm like, that's just throwing bad money, good money.
So then So then what's the end goal? Because you can't, so there's really no way to get him to stop talking crap, because the only way to do that is to sue him. And the only thing is you get financial gain, and you can't get that because he's broken in prison. So you're just kind of, and the thing is, I know exactly how this feels. There are people who do the same thing to the Lauren De Laguna channel. They straight up lie, or they impersonate us and contact public officials. You know who you are.
Give them this. Yeah.
And then you look into suing them, and they are literally too poor to sue, is what I refer to them as, people too poor to sue. So they could just continue saying whatever slanderous, libelous thing they want. So.
Okay, so I got to say this. I know this thing goes on forever, but I got to say this. Let me give you some backstory on the director of Tiger King. Let me give you a little backstory so you know what I'm up against.
Okay.
Eric Good. You can Google his name. And
Let's Google it.
Google it. Let me tell you who Eric Good is, because this is where it's tricky. The saying is, he who runs out of money first loses. All right, in the legal, I have a lawyer friend of mine that tells me that. He who runs out of money first loses. America is screwed up. They can outpower you with money. Eric Good is probably worth $150, $200 million. Okay, he owns some of the biggest properties in New York City. He owns 3 or 4 hotels there. He has this turtle thing. He's had he just sold a restaurant for $60 million during COVID. $60 million. Eric Good applied, and he's a turtle guy. There he is. All right. So if you go down to his biography, and he loves turtles, he owns thousands of acres all over the place for turtles. He's breeding turtles, selling turtles to zoos. But if you scroll down to all the things he's done, he had some of the, look at the area nightclub and stuff was one of the most famous nightclubs. Eric Good has a thing every year, what he does called the Turtle Ball. All right. He raises money. Drew Barrymore was there last time he did it. Carol Baskin has an organization that she does called the Fur Ball. So these guys are millionaires. They don't really need to be begging for money. They can support their own hobbies.
Right.
You know, whatever. He made a bunch of money during Tiger King. Well, fighting a guy like this is crazy because, I mean, obviously I don't have any money right now because the economy's going to crap. So I got to take a chance on suing this guy and hoping I prevail, because if I don't, I'm going to probably get stuck with his legal fees.
Why even take that risk? Most people wouldn't even take that risk. They would just keep whatever money they have and not spend it on an attorney.
Because I'm set on setting the record straight. I want to be compensated for what I had to go through. I want damages. And it might take me a few more years down the road. I have a little bit of time on the statute of limitations. But yes, Doug D, I do think Carol was involved 100%.
Everyone does. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the handyman did it. Carol covered it up. That's my opinion, Carol Baskin.
Ooh.
Because she will watch this. So Eric has a lot of money.
You think Carol Baskins will watch this?
She will watch it. She'll watch it. She
Hi,
follows.
Carol. Sorry, go ahead.
She follows our names. She watches everything. You know, who knows? You might get a threat. Hey, take that down. You know, whatever.
Please threaten me, Carol.
Yeah, she. You know, the one thing about Carol is she follows through because she's got all that money. So Eric Good has a lot of money. He ought to do the right thing. But I'm going to find some lawyer that I feel confident in. And really, with lawyers now, you got a lot of shitty lawyers out there. I see a lot of shitty lawyers that you're like that don't want to go to court. They just want to settle things. If they can't settle it, they drop you as a client and then they move on. They don't want to go to court. They don't want to do the work. And that's what the problem I'm having with lawyers. The lawyer that I had that I was going to go after with Netflix or Air Good last time, he left his practice and now he's a Florida state attorney.
Can I give you a name recommendation? He's really busy, but he's a very good First Amendment attorney, and
You sure can.
His name is Mark Randazza, M-A-R-C.
Do you mind texting that to me?
And he's licensed in Florida.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, do you mind texting that to me? Or
he's unbelievably busy, and he'll probably.
Yeah.
You
know, but it's everybody's like scared. They look at Garrick and they're like, oh, well, he's got a lot of money. Yeah, but he's tight. He's cheap. He thinks he can just get over on people. All right. And another thing with Eric, during COVID, he got about $12 to $13 million in PPP money. A guy that's that wealthy and then laid off a lot of his employees. So when I start digging into him, I'm just like, dude, you're kind of slimy. And then you take advantage of people that were vulnerable. And during Tiger King, we all had problems. I had money problems. I had, I just had life problems. Everybody has life problems. Jeff Lowe had to move to the zoo. Tim Stark was getting sued by PETA and all those groups. Everybody was vulnerable. And then they just preyed on us because we're kind of colorful characters. I mean, we're not your ordinary day-to-day people. We're all different. I mean, we all own tigers. I mean, obviously, we all have some screws loose, you know. But, you know, they just preyed on us all. And that's how I feel. You know, they got us at bad times. So, oh, there she is. Satan herself. Yeah.
I do like the impersonator in that music video that Joe made of her.
Here, Kitty. That was. I mean, Joe didn't sing it. Joe didn't write it. Danny Clinton did. Joe's actually, his attorney just sued the songwriter and the song singer because Joe just lip sings, and that's an ongoing lawsuit, and it's hilarious. Just watching Danny Clinton defend himself. He's the musician that wrote all this music and sang it for Joe, and he just wrote it for Joe to sing at his zoo, to play it at his zoo. He didn't think he was going to end up on Tiger King and people were going to stream it 1 million or 10 million times. But the Here Kitty Kitty song is right on the money, and I love it. Carol, that's what made Carol probably attack Joe even more with lawyers. That Here Kitty Kitty song. She went bananas, I hear.
I don't know why. It made her look good. I mean, that actress was cuter than, well, whatever. The actress was fine. Looked like her a lot. And it was a funny song.
Yeah,
so,
it was spot on.
What are the last couple of things that you wanted to make clear to the world before we wrap this sucker up?
Just really, people, do your homework before you start judging people. Just do your homework. It's very easy to start Googling and researching and doing it. I'm learning how to now. If I would have put in Doug Abel or Spencer Fisher.
Who are we going to look up? We were going to look up someone earlier. We were going to Google Eric.
We Googled Eric Good. But look at Doug. Look at Doug Abel. He was one of the head editors on Tiger King. Look at him and look who his wife is. They're extremist animal rights activists. They already did not like animals in captivity. They ran a sanctuary trying to save all the farm animals so people don't eat meat. So they were collecting all these chickens and, yeah. But you look at his wife, I think her name's Jenny Brown or whatever, but they're hardcore animal rights activists. They were in control of the editing and stuff. So they all had a mission. And the mission was, let's shit on all these big cat owners. And that's exactly what they did. Remember, right after Tiger King, they passed the law. Biden signed it, the Big Cat Safety Act. So it served a mission. Carol won because Carol's been trying to pass this bill for years. Carol won, took away people's rights. Now you can't let people pet them. The regulations are changing. And Carol got this passed because of the Tiger King. That's not fair to the people that have devoted their lives to animals. And to have them all ripped away because Carol doesn't agree, even though she does the same thing those people do. It's just ridiculous, and it's un-American. So in my fight, I want to expose the animal rights activists because everybody has a right to agree or not agree. But when you're licensed and you're legal, you're legal. These people should leave you alone, in my opinion.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm sorry we took so long, but it's a big story, but you're going to love the Carol Baskin part, and you're going to love him putting together the story. Ripper puts together the pieces, and everything's followed by facts. And
you're going to come on next whenever you're available. We already know that.
And I want a little shout out to my friend Danny at Viral Media Group. They're helping me with this presidential stuff that, I might get laughed out of the whole race, but I'm going to try to do something. Even if I get a couple people hearing me, or maybe even a couple politicians wants to ask me questions about what's my opinion on getting rid of all these extremists and domestic terrorists. Maybe, who knows? I'm going to try.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate it, Lauren. Thank you. And if you can, please send me that lawyer's number.
Yes. I already sent you his name. I'll send you his.
Awesome.
All right.
You rock. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
I'm going to close this out. All right. Bye.